Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited that you're here tonight because we have a really interesting and exciting topic, and we have one of our favorite guest speakers to share with us. She's actually part of the family, but we're really excited about our new GLP-1 system, and she's going to mainly be sharing about that tonight. And we are going to have some Q&A time afterwards. So if you think of a question, jot it down and save it for the end of our talk. And I want to introduce Lena to you, and she's going to share all about activation and our new holistic GLP-1 system. So let me give Lena a proper introduction. Um, Lena is a wife to David Misener, and they are both top leaders in our Activation Nation company that we're so thankful for. They've been in LifeVantage for 11 years, which is incredible. Lena is also a mother to four beautiful children that she was privileged to homeschool, and they have all graduated. Together, the Meisner family has developed Beulah Youth Ranch, which served over 50 children last year through Christian summer camps, horsemanship lessons, and therapy programs. They also breed, train, show, and sell their Arabian horses as a family business. Lena is continuing to teach this year at the Homeschool Co-op, where she is the secondary director, and also at a private Christian school. This year, she will be teaching high school biology and anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, chemistry, and AP biology. Lena's background in science includes a Master of Science degree in microbiology with a focus on molecular genetics. Her research was in medical and dental fields, as well as working in agricultural and public health research labs. Lena has continued to study health and the impact of lifestyle with good nutrition as she has raised her family and developed the LifeVantage business with her husband. Lena is delighted to share the amazing health benefits of our nutrigenomic products and the science behind them. So we love having you, Lena. We are so thankful and grateful to have you share with us tonight. We love how you just are such an expert in health and science. So the time is yours, my friend.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It has been a very busy season with the teaching, but it is my delight to teach, and I'm excited to be teaching you guys tonight about this wonderful new system. We've been involved in LifeVantage now for 11 years, and it has just been a wonderful company to be associated with. As a scientist, I just appreciate so much how our company is on the forefront, on the cutting edge of what is going on in nutrigenomics, where we are looking at how our food, how the nutrients that our body responds to in upregulating or downregulating certain genes and genetic patterns. Because we are epigenetic creatures. Our surroundings, our lifestyle choices, sometimes even the things that we don't have choices of, really affect the expression of our genes. In fact, 80% of our genes are determined how they're going to express by the foods we choose, the rest we choose, the exercise we choose or not, the other stresses that are in our lives. They're all affecting which genes are going to be expressed and which proteins are going to be produced in our bodies. And so this is our newest system that we have. When we joined the company, we just had Protandim Nerf 2. There was a dog Protandem, and they were all excited about introducing the Protandem skincare, like one cream. So there were just those three products when we first started. Now we have all kinds of products that are all about activating our body. This is in that same line where we're looking at an alternative to some of the GLP-1 products that people are getting results from, but they're also getting some, side effects that are a little worrisome. And so we can tap into that knowledge of this genetic system with this cutting edge science. And our company has just come together with this dual system to be able to activate this GLP-1 and to turn down the food noise so that we can get control of how we eat. So I'm going to be going into a little bit of science and then a lot more about how to use this system. Okay, so here we have our GLP-1. And GLP-1 stands for glucagon like peptide 1. And a peptide means that this is it's a little protein. And peptides are strings of amino acids, which are, let me see if I can turn on my little pointer thing. So these are the strings of amino acids here. So we have this peptide 1. So it has this is a string, this is the human GLP-1, but it also has these other proteins that are associated with it. So this is our little strings of amino acids that are coded for on our DNA. And it's this one in particular that we are wanting to make sure we have plenty of because this is acting like a hormone and it is produced in the gut from L cells that are in the intestines, and it helps us to regulate our appetite. It kind of tells us, "Oh, you are full," and it helps to control the blood sugar levels so that we're not having a lot of blood sugar and a lot of insulin resistance and so forth. It's also promoting a feeling of fullness so that we're not feeling like we have to eat and eat and eat. And so we want this is a really good protein to have in our body. And we all can make it. We all have the genetics to make it. But it's just there's different things in our diet. Like I said, our epigenetics. There's things in our lives, in our diet, in our stresses, in our health that are preventing us from making it. That's when we start to have problems with our weight, with our health, and we'll talk about those things. So there's lots of cells that have receptors to this GLP-1 protein. And this is an image from a paper by Dr. Drucker, The Mechanisms of Action and Therapeutic Application of Glucagon like Peptide 1, GLP-1, and it was published in Cell Metabolism back in 2018. And so what this is showing, this is actually a DNA, a length of DNA. And so this one length of DNA codes for all of these proteins. And all of these proteins have this particular protein is the GLP-1, depending on whether it has to 37 or to 36. If it has one less amino group, it's an amide. And so, but both of these can be, once that is this part here, once that is this receptor here can recognize it. And this particular receptor is found in all of these types of cells. We've got some that are in the pancreas, where this receptor is causing insulin to go up and glucagon to go down. It is in our nerve cells, where it can affect neurologic and cognitive function. It is in exocrine cells of your pancreas, particularly the acinar cells that are going to be secreting enzymes such as insulin, in your blood vessels with how they are constricting, in your Brunner's glands that are in your stomach that are going to be lubricating the stomach so that you can comfortably digest your food. It's also involved in the synovial, this SAN right here, this sinoatrial node, which controls our heartbeat. So as you can see, this GLP-1 is important in more than just our digestion. It's really a very important hormone in a lot of our homeostasis, where we are keeping our body in balance, where we're keeping things the same, where we feel good. Because when we get out of balance, you don't feel so good. You can have things where your blood sugar is not being balanced, and you can feel pretty sorry when you have high blood sugar that's not going down. You can have mood issues where you just don't feel, you feel depressed, you feel anxious, where you're just not thinking clearly. You can have other things with your pancreas, where you can have lots of that with not just with the insulin, but with some other exocrine enzymes that can really get things out of balance. With blood vessels, this can be affecting with your cardiovascular health. With your lubrication of your stomach, if your stomach is not lubricated, that can lead to ulcers or acid reflux. And then with your sinoatrial node, if your heartbeat, this is like the pacemaker of your heart. You could have afibrillation. I mean, there can be all kinds of trouble with the heartbeat if it's not being kept up. And so these receptors are a very, very important part of this system. So when this GLP-1 binds to the GLP-1 receptor, and it's abbreviated GLP-1R, these are expressed in a variety of these tissues. We just talked about the pancreas, the heart, the kidneys, the stomach, the intestines, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus gland in the brain, because this does go across the blood-brain barrier, this GLP-1. It's a very small protein. You saw that. And it's also involved in the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is what connects our brain with our gut, this vagus nerve that goes back through the center of our body and is connected to so many of our organs. So what it does is it causes a decrease when this GLP-1 binds to this receptor, there is a decrease in the blood sugar concentration so that you've got this enhancing secretion of insulin. And this is in response to our blood sugar levels. So when you've had something to eat, like I just had dinner, and I know that my blood sugar concentration is going up. So my pancreas is going to respond by secreting insulin. And so then what we want to have is this enhanced glucose dependent insulin secretion. So we don't have insulin that is, we don't want this insulin resistance to be there. We want to have it glucose dependent so that it's only coming about when the glucose is there. And as soon as the glucose is not there, we want the insulin to shut off, because then we can have other things happening with fat accumulation in places you don't want it. So it also will do inhibiting glucagon release. This is reducing the glucose production in the liver so that it's not just pouring out. Because I mean, a lot of glucagon can be stored in the liver, but if it's released, I mean, it's really too much. And so if it's inhibiting it, it's reducing that. It's only giving it out as you need it, because our metabolism is such that we're not having to intake all the time. We can eat 2 or 3 meals a day and have this slow release of glucagon from our liver as a stored energy. And that's the way we're designed to be. But we can start having imbalances of this, especially when these receptors are not working correctly, so that it's not inhibiting this. And so another thing that is happening in our stomach is that it's slowing gastric emptying, where right after you've had a meal, which is postprandial. I had to look that up because I didn't know what that word meant, but this means after your meal, postprandial, glucose spikes. And so when you've had a meal, there's usually a blood glucose spike. But if you're borderline diabetes or diabetic, these glucose spikes can be just really huge and they can make you feel really bad. But by slowing down the gastric emptying, we are going to reduce. It's like we like flatten that really big spike, and so it goes over a longer period of time that the blood glucose is taken care of. This is also going to be helping to promote the feeling of fullness and reducing the overall appetite for more and more food, because you feel full. You're satisfied. You don't have to keep eating and eating. So glucagon-like peptide 1 receptor agonist. And so if you know anything about what most of the world has been talking about, Hollywood actors and actresses, famous people that are losing weight, and they're saying, oh, well, I was just been taking my shot, or I've been, now they're starting to talk about having pills. But these are the chemical similar, where they're almost like our GLP-1, but they're not quite. But they can still bind to those receptors. Our body still, because these receptors that we have are kind of like just a lock and key mechanism. This receptor, even with this GLP-1 agonist, it will bind here and cause these same reactions. The problem with these is that they do not degrade like ours do. Our GLP-1 is kind of here and gone really quickly. It's kind of there, does its job, and then it's gone. These tend to last much, much longer, over a longer period of time once they're in the body. And they can give a shot about once a week and have this effect. Whereas if we're actively making our own, it's just there, and then within 1 or 2 hours, it's gone. So this is a drug that is approved by the FDA for originally the treatment of type 2 diabetes mellitus, also to have a cardiovascular risk reduction, and that now they are being used as GLP-1 receptor agonists. They're used for weight loss. These have all of those effects that we talked about before that were very good, and people were seeing a lot of weight loss. They were seeing some side effects as well. And so a lot of people would have a lot of nausea and vomiting because of the delayed gastric emptying, because it was stuff that would stay in their stomach. It got so slow that they started to feel sick. And so if this emptying is reduced long term, um, where you end up having a lot of signaling then to this vagal nervous system. And so that's why you can just you can imagine that you're not going to feel very good. And so there's going to be GLP-1 agonists. They can increase the risk of regurgitation, because if you've got your stomach full of food, and you go to the dentist and they're putting you under for a procedure, this is something where they're telling people you need to be telling them, because there's a little problem of pulmonary aspiration or something, like choking during a procedure if you are taking this. So I mean, I've wondered too, if this is a problem just during deep sedation, what about during sleep? Because I have heard that a lot of people will have trouble with acid reflux while they're on this product. Another thing that I was reading about today that people are complaining about with this is they're losing fat, but they're also losing like subcutaneous fat, which is like right underneath our skin. And when you lose this fat that's under your skin, you would have a very gaunt look, especially in your face. Because what makes a baby look so smooth and so plump and so sweet is they've got a little layer of subcutaneous fat under their skin, and we really do need that for our skin health. So the fat reduction that's happening with some of these chemicals is not always exactly the way people are hoping. So I think that this is kind of losing its mystique, its popularity. I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of people that are wanting to take things. I think there are people that are looking more to a more nutritional aspect of way to do this, which is probably good. But the average cost of one of these agonists in the United States can range anywhere between 700 to 1400 for a 30-day supply. So it's quite expensive. Our product, though, is very reasonable compared to that. Okay, so here is our product. And what we are doing with our company is we have more of a nutrigenomic approach, so a nutritional approach to upregulating our genetic pathways. And so what we're doing is we're turning up this GLP genetic pathway, and we're turning down the food noise. By food noise, we're talking about, just, oh, I've got to eat the next thing, or I can't resist that thing, or I've got a craving for this. But it's doing this naturally so that we're not having those side effects. It's helping us to make these smart food choices that we all know we want to make, and so that we can have a sustainable weight loss. These products we're going to be able to stay on, and it just get better and better and better. We don't have to just take it for a certain amount of time and then have all the weight come back on. It's something that we can make a part of a healthy lifestyle. So what we've got with these two products is where they're both involved in activation of this GLP pathway, producing this GLP protein that's a hormone, and it's also amplification of this, so that we're seeing it increase in overall. So this is the only patent pending two-product system that's proven to activate and to amplify the GLP pathway in multiple ways. It's naturally going to increase our GLP-1 by 140% on average, and it's going to help you feel fuller for longer, making it easier to eat less and make smarter food choices. So here is our mind and our gut connected by the vagus nerve. And so when you were a baby being formed in your mother's womb, At first, you were just this little ball of cells. That little ball of cells eventually got so big that it kind of was like a deflated ball that kind of collapsed in on itself. So if you kind of think of a ping pong ball, how it kind of gets, if you crush it and it kind of collapses in, that innermost part that's on the inside is what forms our central nervous system. And a big part of what forms very, very early is this vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is all throughout our gut. It's connected to our liver, it's connected to our lungs and our heart, but it's really, really important. It's sometimes called our gut is sometimes called our second mind, where you've all felt that feeling of butterflies in your stomach if you're nervous or something. That is the nerves that are there. That's the vagus nerves, and so we are very, very connected to our gut, and we need to keep these aligned. We need to keep these in balance, because what can happen, if you've had it before, where if you get sick to your stomach, I mean, usually you're out for the count. We need to keep this gut healthy, and associated with it, we have a lot of microflora, other things that we need to keep in balance. But what's happening here is we're seeing a balance of hunger hormones being via the signals that are sent from your gut to your brain. And so this is going back and forth with some signaling, with balancing how you feel hungry, how you're reacting to your food. So you're going to end up with less impulsive and a healthier relationship with food and weight loss. And so what we're after is seeing this chylomicron secretion that's going to be decreased, so that we have less of this, just the secretion of just eat more and more and more. But where we have more of this GLP-1 that's produced down here in these L cells in the intestines, that then will react with our liver, so that we're slowing down that glucagon that needs to be released in our body, so that it's like everything just kind of gets modulated. It's not like on high all the time, because I mean, Americans, we have so much food. We have so much opportunity to eat, and we really do need to slow it down. And this gives us a chance to be less impulsive about it, so that we can get it under control. So, are you ready for a total transformation? Because people have been getting on our product and they have just been amazed at what can happen in 12 weeks. And we do ask people to plan on being on this for the full 3 months, so that you can go through this whole system of transformation, because it's not you didn't put on this weight instantaneously, and you shouldn't healthfully take it off instantaneously. And so a healthy weight loss is really just 1 to 2 pounds per week, because that's probably, hopefully, how fast you put it on. And so in order for it to really stay off, it kind of needs to come off a little bit slow, so that you're staying in homeostasis, so that you're staying in a steady state. And so you can expect to have, in about 2 months, about 9 pounds lost on average. It's going to be different for different people. We're going to see different results in a little bit with some of the pictures. I'm hoping that during our question and answer time, we have some other people sharing what their experiences have been. But we do see people on average losing about 25 pounds in about 12 weeks. So what we're doing is we're actually transforming your body composition when you're on these products. And so what we see that's a big difference from the prescribed GLP-2 agonist, where they were seeing a lot of muscle loss, we had 100% of our people in this trial who did not lose their muscle, which is really, really important, especially as you get older. You want to be able to preserve your muscle. You don't want your body going to your muscles to get your protein. We want to be getting that from our food. And so when we diet, a lot of times what will happen is the body starts to just kind of eat up some of our muscle. And we really don't want to do that. So what we end up with is about a total, after the 12 weeks, about 11% total body weight lost. Up to 5% of that fat, the total body fat percentage was lost, but 27% of it was visceral fat. And the visceral fat is probably the most important. A lot of this, I believe, is around our liver. Some of it is around the intestines, but it's in that gut area. And this is the most important part up to lose for overall health. And so with you also want to be transforming your relationship with your food. And so here we go from a body composition transformation to now where we're talking about the transformation of our soul, of our mind and our emotions with our food. And so these were the results of people that had been on it in the trial. They said 82% of them that were saying they took back control of their relationship with their food. It wasn't the food controlling them, and it wasn't the, it's in front of me and I got to eat it anymore. They had control of their relationship with food. 95% were saying they had decreased sugar cravings. 96 said they chose smaller portions, which is a big part of it, where you just like, I don't really need as much. I'll just take a smaller plate, please. 85% felt less hungry. So you can cut out that late night snack. You can eat just 2 meals a day instead of three. 90% ate less at meals. So, I mean, my goodness, this was probably money saving in the end when we are actually eating less. 85% are now eating for health instead of emotions. So instead of running to the refrigerator when we need some comfort, we're finding other healthier ways to have our comfort instead of just eating and eating and eating. So we need to fight this GLP-1 decline that happens over time. So a lot of us, as we get older, we start to put on pounds. And a lot of that is because your body's receptors are maybe not working as well, or maybe you're not making as much GLP-1. But we need to have this little oomph in our diet, in our what we're getting to our body's signaling pathways, kind of our insurance that we're making the GLP-1 every day. Like I said, it doesn't naturally, it does not last a week like the prescription does. Naturally, it only lasts a couple of hours. And so we need to be making this all the time. And so by making sure that we are getting the nutrients that we need to have in place to upregulate the genetics, we're activating this GLP-1 pathway that's going to encourage those L cells in our guts to produce more GLP-1. And so that's what the core is doing, the little pill that we take half an hour before we eat anything else in the day. So we take our MP core, those 2 pills, and then we have our about half an hour later or an hour later, right in that time period, you start with your enhance. And we're usually making a shake, or we're putting it in our yogurt, maybe a drink if we have a drink instead of, maybe one of the drinks. But we're not eating super heavy in the morning, but we try to make sure we're getting protein, either a protein powder in the shake. The yogurt would have some protein in it, or maybe an egg or something like that. The protein component of this is very important. We've had some other teaching on this, that we need to try to have quite a bit of protein as a part of this, to make this really work well. And so so with the MP Enhance, when we have this, what we're doing is we're going to be fueling this GLP-1 production, and it's indirectly by creating optimal environment in the gut microbiome. And so there's things that we're doing with the MP Enhance, with the fiber and with the other support that's in there um, to be able to produce this. And so we need to reduce the enzyme that breaks down this GLP-1 by 38% so that the GLP-1 can last as long as it can and be doing more signaling through those receptors, so that it can have more activity in the body. And so what we're after is this 140% increase. I mean, 100% increase is great. 140% increase. I mean, we're really getting up there with what we can do by taking these 2 pills first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. We're setting our gut up with this GLP-1 starting to happen, and then we start to feed into our gut first thing with this enhance, setting up the microbiome to be able to be able to use this GLP-1 and to work with it. So what we have is our this is a little bit about what's in it. I'm not going to go too much into the details of each one of the ingredients. That's been covered before by some of your other speakers, but this does have this GLP-1 activation blend, where these are natural food ingredients that we have taken very carefully. Our company has researched that we know that these are going to be upregulating the GLP-1 pathway. And so this is acacia, lemon, bioflavonoids, hesperidin, berberine, honeysuckle, yerba mate, matcha, and eggplant. And then we have chromium, which is an essential mineral that's going to help support a healthy blood sugar level, to keep it in a healthy range. And so that's what we're taking first. And then we are taking the MB Enhance, the Mind Body Enhance. This is a powder. I still only take about 2 scoops a day, but that's me. I feel full with the 2 scoops and don't really have, I mean, I probably wouldn't eat a thing if I had all 4 of them. So I'm just really a lightweight when it comes to this. Now, and most people, they get up to about 4 scoops when they are doing it. You can have it spread out over the day, if necessary. But what's in there is a blend of resistant potato starch and resistant tapioca fiber. And these things being resistant is important because it's not going to digest readily. This is not really so much for you as it is for your gut microbiome. This is what your gut microbiome needs to have so that we're supporting them in being able to produce short fatty acids like butyrate in your colon. That's going to be what's stimulating the GLP-1 production. And so some other things that are in there are flaxseed and mid-chain triglyceride oils, baobab fruit powder, saguar gum, and kombucha leaf. All of this is going to, helping you have fiber. It's going to be giving your bacteria a great lawn to graze on. I mean, they need a lot of fiber in order to have a healthy digestive system. And as a microbiologist, I mean, I just love this product. I just love it. So we also have some beneficial spore-forming probiotic bacteria, Bacillus coagulans and Bacillus causei. These are going to be able to survive because they're spores. And so they're able to survive this acidic environment of the stomach to reach the small intestine. And they're it's kind of making sure that we have a really good, healthy balance in your microbiome, because most Americans do not have a very healthy microbiome. We get really yeasty, or we get really with some other bacteria. So we get kind of out of balance with our microbiome. So this is kind of ensuring that we've got a good bacillus base there ready for us. And then there's also some licorice and some ginger that's also there to help with your stomach and intestinal lining, and then some essential nutrients and minerals that may be low due to consuming less food. Because if you're going to be consuming less, we need to make sure that we're supporting that in your body. So let's maximize this, because I was having this discussion with my husband, and he was saying, people are just, well, there's people that are just taking this and they're getting good results with it. And then I was like, well, I know I'm not if I don't do more. And so that's just me. I needed to make sure that I was changing some habits. Some people, when they're taking this, they don't really change much else and they're getting the results. Personally, I had to be a little bit more mindful, cutting out some things, making sure I wasn't snacking at night, making sure I was drinking enough, because I mean, I'm kind of absent-minded professor, and some of the times I just forget to eat and drink because I'm just studying and grading and doing all that stuff all the time. So what we need to do, need to try to use this system, even if you're losing weight and doing great with not changing anything. Why not do the best things you can for your body, which includes eating that colorful diet, eating that rainbow food, having lots of lean protein in your diet, because we need more protein than we think we do. More dietary fiber. Yes, you're getting some from the system, but get more fiber. Your gut loves more and more fiber. I was just reading recently about the benefits of kimchi. If you haven't had that yet, maybe a little spoonful of kimchi or real sauerkraut, something fermented, would be wonderful for your gut microbiome. Incorporating regular physical activity. Just get out and walk, stretch, do whatever you enjoy, but move every day. Additionally, just being mindful, perhaps journaling, if nothing else, about what you're eating every day. I know recently when I did an app where I was trying to journal what I was eating and try to get the balance, get my how many carbs, proteins, and fats I was getting. I was really surprised. I thought I was getting more protein than I was, and it really helped me to do that every day to really, understand that I'm wasn't making the protein choices that I thought I was. Other ideas would be to spend time in prayer, making sure you're having time to meditate or to pray, doing other stress management techniques because it's all connected, your mind, your body, that vagus nerve, but it's going to help you in building these better habits that can, are just going to help this whole system to work better so that you can have a positive relationship with your food and your overall wellness. So I got some pictures off of LifeVantage, and maybe you guys recognize some of the people, but these were some of the original people that were in that 12-week study, where we're seeing some real differences in people that were taking this. Now, a lot of these people were on our other products. They were on Protandim, Nerf 1, Nerf 2, the Tri-Synergizer, so that we know that they had other things that were going on with that were activated. And I think that's one of the key things for being able to see really great results is when you have that inflammation down, when you have that oxidative stress down in your body, so that your body can respond quickly to this. And so what we see in this gentleman is he has lost that grandpa belly. Look at that. I think that looks great. And then we have our next lady. She also has had most of her weight loss from around this visceral area, but also I think she's pretty happy with that under her chin here too. Just the way she's even trying to say, look at that. I think that's great. And then here is another 12 weeks where this lady is also losing. I mean, I can just tell that she, if we took measurements around her arms and around her waist, we would see a lot of difference. Now, the funny thing is that some of these people, they might get on the scale and they haven't lost so much in pounds because they're actually putting on a little bit of muscle. Because this is going to help us to preserve our muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. And so it's a good thing to put on muscle. So it's not always just about the pounds. So here's another man that has definitely firmed up through his middle area. I mean, that seems to be the biggest area where we see that. But also just like, I can tell like his arms are just in better shape there. I wonder if he's in the same shirt. Might be. But it's just interesting there. Okay, so when you're on this, because when I'm going to read through Biohacking Basics, which is our Facebook page, there's always this kind of, oh, I'm not seeing this, or I'm not seeing that. And so we have to expect that we're going to be going through phases as we have this. And so we have phase 1, where we're ramping up and we're resetting our body. And then we'll have phase 2, where we're looking for better balance overall. Phase 3, where we have our activation of our enzymes optimized. And then now, in phase 4, you want to live activated. And this first phase where we're ramping up and resetting, this is where we're expecting this the first month to month and a half, where we have that MP core that's going to begin activating the GLP-1 to produce more of that in your gut. And it takes a while for that to build up, because a lot of those cells need to heal so that they can actually produce that. And so the MB Enhance, then the powder, is going to be resetting your gut microbiome. We got to reset that. We got to allow that to grow and to, be a stable environment for that gut microbiome to establish. And then we're going to be implementing realistic exercise and nutrition routines into that. So it takes a little time to develop new habits. At this point, there's a lot of people that have mild side effects. There can be, because, it's going to slow down the emptying of your stomach a little bit. There might be a little bit of a nauseous feeling because you're not used to having like a slower gut. You're used to having things just go through you really fast. A lot of people, like I'm still at 2 scoops a day, but a lot of people, if they need to stay at 2 scoops and then get up to 4, maybe over the course of 2-3 weeks. And here's the most important part, because I know I didn't see anything move until I started to like maximize my water. I know I was more than just 64 ounces of water before I finally started seeing some results. Phase two, a better balance. So this is about 6 to 10 weeks. So we're about a month and a half to 2.5 months where we're seeing improved digestion. It's slowing down. You don't need to eat as much. You're getting nutrients from a smaller amount of food. Your cravings are quieted down because your body's actually digesting and absorbing, and it's not just passing through you, making you feel hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. You have a stronger mind and body connection so that you feel satisfied, and you know you're kind of aware actually. Yeah. Somebody's not muted.
I have a retype of
and then in phase four, you're going to live activated. This is in phases 14. Did I skip one? Yeah, skip phase three. So in phase three, that's when you're starting to really, really see the results of it. You're starting to see some pounds lost. I'm not sure what happened to my slide, but I'm filling in. And so then in phase four, we're going to live activated, where you're sticking to these positive changes you made. You're going to maintain these results over the long haul, where you're recognizing that you need to take an active role in keeping your gut healthy. And this is just the beginning. What we're going to be noticing at this point is where we have sustained energy. You're going to have energy from all of this food the small amount of food that you're eating, your body is going to be using to make a bigger energy. You're going to have a better mood because it's going to be really supporting your cognitive and neurological health. A good night's sleep because you're satisfied. Your body's not trying to, getting all out of whack, trying to maintain homeostasis. You are ready for sleep. And overall long-term health because of all of the things that this GLP-1 is signaling. So that concludes my talk. I am so excited about this new product. I'm really looking forward to hearing some of your stories about how this is working for you.